Mentioned it in another video, my Briefcase stereo. Here it is. Back in college, well, high school as well. I actually built this in high school. I used a Briefcase. I don't know why people thought that was strange. But this is basically a speaker. I salvaged this out of a stereo of some kind. I had more bits and pieces and parts. 1/8" plywood. Wire, just baling wire basically holds it on here. When I first connected it up and connected it to a Walkman, it wasn't real loud, obviously. But the issue was it was really muddy. There was so much static and noise in it, you could barely hear the music. So I was trying to figure out what to do. I thought, well, maybe it wasn't loud enough, strong enough signal. So I was taking apart a speaker that I had, looking for parts. This was a large speaker, and I found this board in there. It's not really a circuit board, but has some circuitry and stuff on it. And I thought this might amplify the signal, so I wired it in there, and it wasn't perfect crystal clear. It's not perfect, but I had it going through there, and it was much nicer. Found out later, somebody else explained to me actually that this is I can't remember what he called it, but it divides out the signal for the treble and bass parts of the speaker. So I'm not sure exactly what it does in this application, but it made it perfectly clear. And even though I made this some 30 years ago, and it does work, and play some, is it Bach? Well, they find it was public domain. Not sure what kind of quality is going to come through with that, but it's very doable and passable. I knew a couple other people made similar devices at different times or wired in their Walkmans to speakers and things like that. But this was my Briefcase stereo. And it's a treasure of mine, of something I figured out how to do. The really nice thing about the old analog systems in general was they were so forgiving. You could tinker around with them, figure out, does this work? How's that work? It doesn't work, redo it. I had a lot of headphones for my Walkman that would go bad. And what I would do is I'd rewire them. And I got tired of rewiring them at some point. Not that I had to do this even on a monthly basis, but I can't remember how several months or so, different uses and uses, the fine wire that I had at the time would wear out. And it would develop breaks, start getting static or something in there. So one time I did away with the stereo, so it was just mono. But when the connection at the Walkman, I had two sets of wires coming up. Where they would split off, I had them bridge and connect the two different things. So I built in redundancy, and then they went off to the two different ears. That one lasted a long, long time. I'm sure I threw it out at some point because I wasn't using headphones anymore. I found it was like, this is pointless, so I just dump it. But yeah, I had that for a long time. But these are not my first. I was thinking about it the other day. My first experiment with trying to electronics or wiring on my own. Dad helped me with a few things at different times. I had a walkie-talkie, note singular. Not a set. I think these were given to me by some cousins I had. And I forget if they gave me a complete set and the one got lost or destroyed, or they gave me the one, which, but I got both like that. But things like that would happen. I took it apart, and some of the wires had broken or things like that. My mom had wire tie wraps that she used at bread wrappers and vegetables and produce section. She would save, and they were a paper insulation on there. And I would, in the last half inch or so, I'd twist them and strip it with my fingernail, I'd clean it up. I used those to rewire that Walkman, wrap them around the leads. I got it working. It worked. I only had the one frequency. I want to probably in the area of 2.4 gigahertz. I could talk to truckers, and every now and then they'd tell me to switch to a different frequency, and I couldn't. They had no idea. They had no idea they were talking with a 10-year-old kid. It was kind of funny. But yeah, that was my first experiment in electronics, and this was my first project, at least my first one I still have. Kind of accomplishment. Another testament to the quality of stuff back then. This thing, like I said, it's in the area of 35 years old, actually. Maybe in the 90s I built this. I'm trying to think now. Yeah. Well, we'll say it's close to 30 years old. The other one was probably 35 when I built the 35 years old when I built yeah. So yeah, 30 years old either way, and it still works. Try that on a 10-year-old cell phone. All this to say, get out there and experiment with something. Take something apart, figure out how it works, and build something new, just for fun. Worst case scenario, it's still broken.